people do not make a plan for their life. They don't know what they want. They don't know where they're going. Dude, I ask a person, what do you have planned for next week? They don't know what they're doing today, right? So how are you supposed to move in life with intention if you're moving like an accident? It's not going to work. Brother, business, life is like archery. That's what I compare it to. If you have no goal, you have no target, there's nothing to hit.
Without a goal, you can't score.
That's the first part. The second part is you need to have a tool. You need to have a bow. You need to have an arrow in order to hit your target.
Right.
The next thing is you have to aim. It requires preparation. You need to understand the spacing, the distance, the humidity, the temperature, all these variables in order to what?
Factors, yeah.
Hit the target.
Hit the target.
And then finally, you have to what? Shoot. Let go. Shoot. You have to take action. Most people have no goal. They don't know where they're going. They haven't calculated or measured what it's going to take to achieve the bullseye.
Yeah.
And they don't take action. So in life, if you want to achieve a bullseye, you have to be willing to set a target. You have to be willing to aim, prepare, understand the nature of what you're about to do, and you have to shoot. You have to take action. And with enough iteration, eventually you'll get good enough to hit the bullseye. And that, my friend, is a secret to success. When you're on hustle mode, it's very hard to kind of reset your mind. But if you have enough money, right? When all you need is enough money to be able to focus on yourself full time. Like what would happen if for 8 hours a day, 7 hours a day, the focus of your day, your job was to level up? That would be amazing. That would be unbelievable. You'd be ahead of your competitors. You'd be ahead of your potential, what would you say, enemies, I would call it, or business rivals. You're going to have so many advantages on a personal level, on a business level, on an intellectual level, and you're going to see things from a bigger perspective. So if you can beat yourself and you can win and conquer self, you can conquer everything. Energy input is extremely important. So what you input as the energy source or as the fuel for your body, right, will dictate the output of that energy. So if you're feeling lethargic, slow, tired, not after a kickboxing workout, but in the morning when you should in fact be feeling rested, there's something in the energy input that is causing that malfunction. Maybe it's the foods that you eat. Maybe it's what you're watching before you go to sleep. Maybe it's the fact that you're on your phone before you go to sleep. Maybe it's the fact that you had a terrible argument before you went to bed. Maybe it's the fact that you went to bed out of schedule, right? So all these things, they are bad energy inputs, low vibrational energy inputs. So the output will be in direct proportion, what? To the input. Newton, right? Sir Isaac Newton said it best. He said, for every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. So you get to control the input. You have to pay the consequences of the output. And that's the beauty of life. You control what you sow, but what you reap will inevitably happen. So if you wake up tired, well, it's most likely something in your life that you can control.
Yeah.
If you have a bad relationship, there's most likely something there that you can control. If you don't have money, well, my friend, there's most likely something there that you can control. What you sow, you will reap. For every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction, gentlemen.
Amazing.
The big thing that I learned when I started making my money was, I was saying it to some buddies today, I said, my big epiphany, my big humbling moment was I was a poor guy with money. And what I meant by that was my mental framework was the mental framework that I was brought in, which is you need to hustle, you need to work, you need to get a job. And I was taking that same philosophy, but just as a self-employed individual, because if I stopped working, the money would stop coming.
That's the realization I had. Like, the money is good, but that's only if I am pumping out the content on all the platforms. What happens if I stop making content?
And that's where working on the business and building a garden that is kind of self-sustaining, because you have different aspects to it that cross-pollinate comes in. So you build a loyal following, whatever, if it's a product, if it's a clothing line, if it's a subscription, whatever it may be, it applies for a plethora of niches. You work on it. Take Gymshark, for example. Gymshark is a business. They're not a clothing line. They're a business. They have a loyal fan base, but they have what? Pop-up events. They have their clothing lines.
Yeah, they just open a store in London now.
Literally, bro. They have an entire ecosystem. And it's in that ecosystem that you no longer have to be present in order for money to flow. The life that you have is a life that you chose.
Exactly. Yeah, it's true.
Where you're currently living, what you're currently doing, you chose that. You have people complain about having kids, people complain about having responsibilities, people complain about their rent, people complain about their student loans. Most of these things in life are self-imposed.
Yeah, 100%.
You self-impose all this bullshit. You self-impose a lot of these issues in your life. That's just the nature of the game. So when you understand that everything is self-imposed, then you're like, okay, I'm going to be a little bit more relaxed on my responsibilities. I'm going to be more careful about the decisions and the commitments that I make because I understand that there's long-term consequences to it. I see a lot of people complaining, dude, but very few people taking
100%.
action.
Yeah.
Most people make excuses. Very few people make moves. I often talk about the symphony of success. Mm-hmm. What does success sound like to you? Not what success means to me, not what success means to your parents, to your friends, to the system. What does success sound like to you? What is your symphony of success? When you hear successful, living a successful life, what comes to mind? Mm-hmm. For a musician, it may be really good at playing an instrument. For me, it may be developing a phenomenal business. Mm-hmm. For an athlete, it may be developing a great athletic career. What is your symphony of success? It really depends on the individual. That's why there's no one spectrum of success. There isn't one number to achieve that defines success. That is my definition of success, but that is for me. Why? Because every person beautifully has been created to have their own specificity. So you have your own dreams, you have your own ambitions, you have your own symphony of success. You need to find that. And how do you find it? From deprogramming from the bullshit that everybody else has told you of what it means to be successful. Mm-hmm. You need to stop listening to others and start listening to yourself. But the problem is nobody knows how to listen to themselves. Mm-hmm. They're scrolling on TikTok, music on loud every day, when they're driving, fucking radio turned on, when they're home scrolling on their phones, when they ask for opinions, they ask for opinions from other people. They ain't even asking opinions from themselves. They're going to a fucking psychologist, asking a psychologist for wisdom and advice on how to live their lives. And they're paying this motherfucker money. And all you are is a client. So might as well keep this person sick as long as possible or deranged or in the loop of coming and sitting on the chair. Why? Because they're paying for the fucking mortgage. When was the last time you sat down and defined your symphony of success? What does success look like to you? To me, it's not having a ton of properties and living in a big fat box and having a ton of supercars. No, to me, it's freedom. And I found that early on. Mm-hmm. Now I just am able to experience a different level of freedom with more toys and more things. And I can bring people along that journey with me to enjoy it. Mm-hmm. That is my symphony of success. And if I was to cater or falter to what other people told me what success was, then I have gone from successful to unsuccessful. I think before you create an opportunity, you need to identify the opportunity. So most people, for example, you probably get a fuck ton of DMs, right?
Oh yeah.
Every single day. Oh, let me come edit for you. Let me come do this for you. Or let's train together. Or hey, I'm in Dubai. Or hey, I'm in whatever. You get hundreds of DMs. Same thing with me. But nobody ever comes to me and says, hey, Luke, I identified this need, this vulnerability in your business. I know how to increase your returns by X amount of money. I know how to make money for you. I know how to do this for you. I'll do it for free. Here it is. What, I wouldn't respond to that DM? Mm. We read our DMs. People don't seem to understand, bro. So what I did is I study people the same way that I study markets. People have needs. People have vulnerabilities. People have necessities. Even the richest, most successful person in the world, they have something that they're lacking. It may not be money, but they may be lacking in health. They may be lacking in connections. They may be lacking in a specific resource. Your goal is to position yourself in that situation to supply that need and come in as what? The irreplaceable, most experienced, in-demand person. So not just to make money, but to capture the opportunity. So if people want to make a lot of money, dude, I divide it into three things. First is you need to be able to do something that's in high demand, right? So for example, it doesn't matter if you were putting out the biggest banger videos in the world. If YouTube wasn't a thing, right, and nobody really watched YouTube, you wouldn't be able to monetize it, right? So what you need to be doing needs to be in high demand. The second thing is you need to be able to be doing something and be the best at it, right? So you need to be the best at what you do. Not only do you have to be the best at what you do, but you also have to be in a situation where you have to be irreplaceable, right? So you cannot be replaced. And this is where most people fall off, is that most people are replaceable. That's why their careers are very short. That's why their YouTube careers are very short. That's why they can get fired and the boss doesn't blink an eye, right? But there are people out there that you can't replace, dude. Like you can't just go out there and replace your lead engineer at Amazon AWS, right? Like you can't just go out and replace that dude that's built the entire infrastructure. Therefore, he's secured his ability to make money. Why? Because he can't be touched. Then he's the best at what he does, so he can negotiate his price. And finally, what he's doing is in demand, which means he will always find a supply for monetary transactions in that thing. So figure out something that you can do that's in high demand. I would say something in the Web3 space right now would be really good. Coding, cybersecurity, all these things, if you can learn them, super phenomenal. You need to be able to be the best at what you do so that you can negotiate at the table. Because when you come as the G, right, Drake doesn't walk into the room in the record label with the same terms some new kid would come in with, right? He comes in and he sets the terms because he's the best at what he does. And then finally, you can't be replaceable, right? Because if you come in with a preposterous deal or you want the best deal in hand, you need to be able to have leverage. And being irreplaceable gives you that leverage. So if you want to make money, ladies and gentlemen, figure out where you can be irreplaceable, where you can be the best at what you do, and where what you do is in high demand, and you will make money in perpetuity for always and forever. Most side hustles, what I learned in the beginning of my career, should only be the mentality applied to making your initial money.
Yeah, 100%.
Once you go from hustle mode, you need to go to boss mode.
Yeah.
What is boss mode? A person that is building long-term sustainable businesses. You cannot build long-term scalable businesses by having to force cram and force feed ads in order for your business to survive. It won't work that way. It's too annoying. It's too stressful. I don't want to rely on Zuck's algos and on Zuck's tracking in order for me to make money.
Yeah.
Why? Because as soon as Apple comes around and says, you're tracking, we're canceling that shit. Now Facebook goes to shit, right? So you can't be dependent on one single avenue. It's not going to work. So people need to start shifting their mindset. Once you have your first 100K, dude, your mindset should shift from hustle to boss.
What are the biggest mistakes they tend to make?
They don't learn the fundamentals. It's so easy, bro. It's so easy to bank money. You know this. Online, anybody can go out and make 10 grand a month, literally. Yeah. But who learns taxes? Who learns budgeting? Who learns human resources? Who learns product and inventory management? Who learns scaling and operation? Who learns systems building? Nobody learns those things because they're the boring parts of the business. And if you don't learn them, you're going to crash. The last thing you want to be is a person that pumps cash but has no ability to retain it.
Yeah.
You don't want to be that guy. If you don't understand how to file taxes, if you don't understand how to budget your business. I was talking with a guy in Singapore. He's the son of the former president of Singapore, probably worth a couple $1 billion. He's in real estate development. He's done over 2,500 real estate development projects in Singapore. Super big guy. And
the property prices there are
crazy. So he's like proper balling. So I was having a conversation with him and he's like, you know what the biggest issue is between the elite and people that make no money? I'm like, what? Financial literacy. He said, most people are financially illiterate and it's a language. I'm like, what do you mean it's a language? He's like, yes, finance is the language of the elite. Just like Latin used to be the language prior to the peasants being able to have access to read the Bible, they would have to go to the elite, the popes, the deacon of the church or whoever was in charge in order to get what? In order to get the wisdom, because they couldn't read. Nowadays, most people are financially illiterate. And it's in that financial lack of literacy that people get fucked.
Yeah.
Why do you need a lawyer? Because you don't know the law.
Yeah.
Why do you need a tax attorney? Because you don't know tax. Yeah, you don't need to know all of it. But if you don't know the basics, anybody can finesse you. And I think that's the biggest issue up and coming entrepreneurs and even developed entrepreneurs make and end up getting screwed on is they have not developed financial literacy because it's not sexy.
I think it's about the information that you have and about the level of conviction, because you have to be convicted about something, right? You have to put your chips on the table about something. And the last thing you want to do is live the what if game. I can always make more money, right? I by no means am I advocating, hey, if you have $5,000 in the bank, go put all of your money in crypto. No, go learn how to make money. Go learn how to develop cash flow. Go learn how to build a business. I had enough money whereby if I lost that money in crypto, I knew I was going to make it again. But it was a bet I was willing to take. And I took the bet and it worked. And I realized that if I lost that bet, I was okay too. Why? Because I developed the skills to build and scale digital businesses. So it wasn't a confidence on the decision. It was a confidence in my ability to make decisions based off of the skills that I had developed. And if the decision doesn't play out, that's okay, because I have developed the skills and I have trust in who? Myself. I'm going to fuck up, but it's all a game of probabilities. It's not a game of luck. And you have to increase your probabilities by increasing your skill set. And that's what a lot of people don't do. They don't work and they don't increase their skill set. Leonardo da Vinci famously said, God will sell you anything at the price of labor. And that is true. So what you have to do is, if you want something, you have to work for it. And most people that think that the world is based off of luck have never truly worked for something. Not enough to understand that luck does not exist. It's merely a game of probabilities. You work hard, you work more, you work longer, and eventually you can increase your odds of success.
Your mind is programmable. The question is, who will program it? Will you program your mind? Or will your mind be programmed by other men, by circumstances around you? Weak men think that the circumstances that are around them are created by chance, right? That it's just random, it's accidental. It's an accident. But then you have the people that understand that circumstances are created. They don't just occur, they are created. That you then have the ability to create the circumstances in the life that you want. So if you're currently living in circumstances that are not ideal for you, create the circumstances that you want. I can? Yes, you can. But you have to believe that it's possible, right? So understanding that it's possible by doing what? Reprogramming your mind. The Bible says it. Be transformed by what? The renewal of your mind. Right? The Bible says it. Be transformed. So transform who you are by renewing your mind. Sometimes you have to hit reset on the computer. Sometimes you have to hit update. But people are running on the same trains of thoughts and the same information that gave them the problems in the first place. No wonder you're fucked up. You're not learning new data sets. You're not learning new information. You're not becoming a new person. Believe and you will achieve. The thing that I learned when I started making my money was, I was saying it to some buddies today, I said, my big epiphany, my big humbling moment was I was a poor guy with money. And what I meant by that was my mental framework was the mental framework that I was brought in, which is you need to hustle, you need to work, you need to get a job. And I was taking that same philosophy, but just as a self-employed individual, because if I stopped working, the money would stop coming.
That's the realization I had. Like, the money is good, but that's only if I am pumping out the content on all the platforms. What happens if I stop making content?
And that's where working on the business and building a garden that is kind of self-sustaining, because you have different aspects to it that cross-pollinate comes in. So you build a loyal following, whatever, if it's a product, if it's a clothing line, if it's a subscription, whatever it may be, it applies for a plethora of niches. You work on it. Take Gymshark, for example. Gymshark is a business. They're not a clothing line. They're a business. They have a loyal fan base, but they have what? Pop-up events. They have their clothing lines.
Yeah, they just opened a store in London now.
Literally, bro. They have an entire ecosystem. And it's in that ecosystem that you no longer have to be present in order for money to flow.
Do you think maybe what holds a lot of people back is just like the limiting belief? Because they're probably listening to this and they're thinking like, I can't do this.
So let's evaluate. Why do you limit your beliefs? I'll tell you why you limit your beliefs. You limit your beliefs because you don't trust yourself. Why don't you trust yourself? Because every time you tell yourself that you're going to do something, you break your own promise. If you can't trust yourself as an autonomous individual, no wonder you're not going to advance in life. Dude, if I told you every single day, right, and we were gym buddies, if I told you every single day that we were going to go to the gym and I didn't show up, but you showed up,
right? Or you said, hey, are we going to the gym? Like your body tells you, hey, we need to go to the gym, or how your friends tell you, hey, we got to go work out. If you told me 10 days in a row and I committed, hey, we're going to the gym, but then the morning came around and you came out of the room and I was there eating chips and watching Netflix and I didn't go to the gym with you, on the 10th day, would you believe me?
Yeah, not a chance.
Would you trust me?
No, yeah.
So the problem is most people don't trust themselves. And the reason they don't trust themselves is because they are in auto self-sabotage mode 24/7. Everything that they do, they're sabotaging themselves. No wonder you can't trust yourself. No wonder you don't have any courage. No wonder you think you're going to fail, is because your mind is literally telling you, dude, I can't trust you. I can't trust you. So you need to start on the small wins. Start focusing on the small wins. Get groomed. Clean your room. Start hanging out with good people. Read a chapter in a book and say, I'm going to read a chapter, and you sit down and you read it, right? I'm going to read this news article, and you sit down and you read it. I'm going to eat good food and not bad food, and you do it, and you start building trust with yourself. Trust, reputation, rapport. And then you realize, wow, I can actually do anything that I want because I trust myself to do it. So learn how to trust yourself by doing the small things right. And how you do the small things is how you do the big things. So focus on the small things. Focus on laying down the bricks. And soon, when you zoom out, you'll have a wall of China that'll be so big beyond comprehension, people won't be able to even understand what was built. It's because every brick that you laid was done with perfection. Small things.
Now, the working class hasn't changed ever since this idea of peasant was established, which was during feudalism, right? The peasants were the working class that the feudal lords would basically let them work on the field to feed themselves, and the rest would go into storage or be sold. Basically what happens today. You go, you work, you get a little bit to feed yourself, right? And then you're in a situation where you have to give back to the king through taxes, right? So you're left with half, and then you have debt, and then you have inflation, right? So you barely meet paycheck. 70% of Americans live paycheck to paycheck, or in fact are even in debt. So now you're in a situation whereby the system is attacking you 24/7. You're like, whoa, is this by design, or is this just how it's supposed to be? And then you realize that the system is created by people, and people create the system with rules. But everything that is man-made can be broken, just like hacking into a website. People hack into the rules, hack into the laws. You don't think there's lawyers out here, judges out here passing policy that is convenient for them? Think this is heaven? No, it's not. It's the real world. People cheat on a Monopoly board. You don't think they're going to cheat in the real life when there's billions and trillions of dollars on the line? What type of reality do you live in, peasant? Because you don't understand how the game is played. You are sitting where you deserve to be. So if you want to level up, you want to understand how the world works, you can't do the things that peasants do. You can't do the things that the working class does. The working class was illiterate. The working class ate unhealthy. The working class was unsanitary. The working class focused so much on working that they couldn't focus on leveling up. So I think you can transition, but it's good to have a reality check of where you currently stand, because the first step to solving a problem is realizing that there is one. And most people aren't willing to realize that they've been fooled their entire life because they feel stupid. So Mark Twain says it's easier to lie to somebody than to convince them that they've been lied to. And that's because there's ego. So get your ego out of the way, become a student of life, and level up the video game character. It's pretty straightforward, G.